am Dr. Joan Coleman, and the exchange is exciting.
I'm Denise Cavalier. The exchange is real.
I'm Carolyn Quaker. The exchange is empowering.
I'm Donna Hutchinson. The exchange is thought-provoking.
The exchange, a Let Me Be Me podcast. I want to break free. Listen, I want to break free. Listen, today we're talking about Unhinged. Just wanted to be free. But before we get into it, let's introduce the ladies.
Donna Hutchinson.
Carolyn Quaker.
Denise Cavalier.
And I'm Dr. Joan Coleman. And listen, today we're talking about being unhinged. And Carolyn had all the definition for unhinged, but we're not even going to get into Carolyn's definitions. We're going to just say hinges, remove, losing it, strange behavior. And that's because people are overburdened, don't you think?
Yes.
We have inflation. Eggs are like $10, right? We have like food, work environment, stuff that's making us unhinged. Denise, I want to start with you because this is something up your alley, right? This is your topic.
Yeah.
What is unhinged behavior to you? What does that mean?
Well, I mean, you're talking about it from the perspective of people kind of losing their stuff because things are so crazy. But I also look at unhinged as unconnecting or disconnecting yourself from all the expectations that you've built up for yourself through the years, or, you know, other people's expectations of you. I like the idea of unhinged. It feels like freedom to me, and letting yourself loose to express yourself no matter what's going on. So even when it gets crazy going on, you can engage in that moment and set
unhinged.
yourself free to live in the moment.
Well, that's so funny. I like your definition, but Carolyn has many definitions. Now, Carolyn, do you agree with that definition? What do you think? What does unhinged mean to you?
I'll be honest, when she first said it as a topic, I was like, ooh, I don't know. That sounds like a negative thing. Mm-hmm. But I totally see it the way Denise is saying it now. And I think it is a positive. If we don't have to use it as it's defined in the dictionary. We can use it as this is setting ourselves free, removing these things that have been put on us by society, by our family, by whatever, and being free, being creative. You can learn a lot in those moments. For me, I call it a Judy moment, which is my mom's name, who's been deceased for many years. And I'll warn my family, oh, I'm having a Judy moment day. Feeling it coming on. But there can be so much goodness in that too. And just like being a little bit unhinged, a little bit crazy, getting creative, getting things done. I think it can be positive.
I want to know what Judy moment means to you. What does that mean?
That I'm doing 16 things at once.
Okay.
I'm not finishing anything. I'm doing something which leads to something else, and I go, wait, that's more important. And but then I go back, and 15 of the 16 will be done by the end of the day. Right. It's just like a little scattered.
Good, scattered.
Little crazy, right?
My mother was very impulsive, very not good at getting anything done.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to remember that. Judy.
Yeah. And I swear the universe has sent me so many Judys, and like automatically if you're Judy, I love you. Like I just love you, and I have so many Judy friends and acquaintances that are all so incredibly different, none like my mother at all, but just automatically you get a cat pass. If your name is Judy, I'm going to love you.
Oh, that's sweet.
So what does unhinged mean to you, Donna?
I just love Denise's definition of this, and for me, I decided that 2023, my word of the year, because that's what we're doing now, is relief. And relief comes from all the societal expectations that I can't even blame society completely, like myself have put on myself, and letting those go feels like relief. So unhinged can feel like relief because you're actually just being, and just letting all the kinks go. I
feel that. I feel like, I don't know, is this picture in my head of this baby. I don't know if you guys ever seen it. A baby in a diaper on the beach, and it's just like leaking out. Just whatever wants to come out the back of the diaper is just coming out, and he's free, is free. So what's the path to freedom? We're unhinged, overburdened, overworked, overtired. What's the path to freedom? Would you run away and start again? Think about those two questions. What's the path to freedom, Carolyn?
I don't know. The path to freedom. So I guess for me, unhinged is the path to freedom. Allowing yourself to let go of everything. So what if your diaper's leaking out on the beach? Like, okay. And I think, like Donna said earlier, all of this sort of feeds into our last segment on masks and no longer having to wear that. And I think the reason that this was an interesting topic for me is I really liked the unhinged part of people. So when I get to know people, I want to know about them, and not just this facade that, that we go around all so controlled. I really like the uncontrolled part of living. And to me, that feels like freedom. So the path to getting there, I think, is trusting yourself, allowing the real you to come out, and knowing that there's moments where you don't have to be controlled all the time. You can be a little crazy. You can be a little silly. You can laugh, inappropriately, or whatever it takes to sort of release some of that pent up, having to be under control all the time. But to me, that's the path.
What about you, Donna?
Well, can I say too, like, the more you do that, the more it's permission for me. So that's such a big thing, is seeing people. The more people do it, the more you feel okay to allow those parts of you to emerge and and breathe and thrive. But freedom is always that reminder too. Like, what are you doing and why are you doing it? And if the answer is anything outside of what you truly want to do, can you actually just let that go? And then the more you do that, the more you go, oh, okay, like I can just let all of these burdens go and not stress, because the world tells me I need to stress and wear them all the time. So I think the more you start to really ask yourself those questions daily, I mean, it's a daily cultivation, the more you find that path to freedom, and it is relief and feels really good.
Yeah. Okay.
I think the path is probably not that different than what you guys said. It's like evaluating your life, exploring what's working, what's not working, eliminating. For me, it was like a 3-year process. And then experiencing the calmness of the things that you let go of that you didn't think you could, and being like, oh wait, I actually have a little time. I don't have this meeting tonight, or I don't have this thing, this obligation. So now I can be free to do what I really want to do. But I think it takes a lot of self-awareness, right? Because you've got to be figuring out those priorities. You got to be evaluating, wait, I just did this event or this activity or this meeting or this group. How do I feel when I'm done? Do I feel better? Do I feel worse? If I'm getting ready for it and I'm freaking out and stressed out, well, then that's not for me. I'm doing Qigong right now, and one of the things we do is we take off our backpack. And it's like the best part of the whole exercise, because it's like, you're just like, oh, it's gone. I don't have this burden on me. I love it.
Yeah.
So I feel that. As you
Yeah,
said
just
it.
like-
I did too. I did too.
It's gone.
That's awesome. But I was thinking, right, as everybody was talking, and I felt like we were running through a field with butterflies and lavender. I began to think about the movie The Shining, and with Jack Nicholson. And there's a movie, because when I Googled it, there's a movie called Unhinged, where this man is just hot as fish grease. He's so angry because of, being in traffic and stuff. What do we tell those people? I mean,
You gotta breathe, man. I do this in my classes too. I'm like, you hold the tension and then you go and let it go. And reminder that is accessible to you in traffic, in line at the grocery store. Like, we always have that ability. You gotta let it go. Yeah.
But honestly, who's thinking of that when you're in line in the supermarket and they're
here's your reminder to do it.
Practice.
Yeah, practice.
Practice. Yeah. So I want to talk about, because we talked about Unhinged and we looked at it as freedom to, just be and whatever. But what about from the freedom? What's some tips for freedom from the constraints of society?
I think creativity for me leads to freedom. So really tapping into my creative process, who I am, my thoughts, the things I think about, my feelings and stuff, all of those I think are, can be very creative. And so for me, finding an expression, an outlet for that is really helpful to tapping into. Yeah, the
For your freedom from
unhinged.
society.
Yeah,
Right?
yep.
How about you, Carolyn? From the constraint of society, freedom.
I mean, maybe like not watching the news and not watching TV and spending a little time with yourself is helpful. And I do watch TV, by the way. I don't really watch the news so much, but I think if we can just step back, right, then you can maybe have the moment to say, oh, this isn't working for me.
That's so good. I was just talking to my husband last night, and I was like, we should take separate trips. Like, you go away for a few weeks, I go away for a few weeks. Then I thought about it. I said, I'll be calling you every 5 minutes. It's like, okay, maybe we go together, you know. It's so hard to be alone. It's so hard to, especially if you've been with somebody for so long, it's so hard to be like, oh, I'm going away by myself, you know. But we have to try to do that because that's a part of maintaining your mental health, you know. And to be honest, we never took a vacation apart. And I don't know that we will. I was just talking, you know, because it sounds good. But, you know, it's hard, but you need those times. But I do have those times. I go to the gym by myself. I'm there for an hour and a half, 2 hours, you know, so, and he's by himself. So I guess that plays a part. How do you feel about freedom to be?
Yeah, you just have to allow yourself to enjoy in the moment. I'm an only child, so I very much don't mind my own company, and take walks frequently in the park just to kind of have my own space and let myself think and get in touch with that intuition and get in touch with truth. Anything, I'm a big person who questions pretty much anything that is given to me and presented as fact. So just like constantly poking around things that are told to you and saying, do I even agree to any of this? I got real mad last summer that we all collectively agreed to work from like 9 to 5. Like, who decided that? And why did we all agree to it? We didn't agree. I'm unhinging and saying, no more.
But like, no more.
No more. What are we doing? Yeah. So poking around them facts. They're all malleable. They're not factual and concrete.
Freedom to be you.
Freedom to be.
Be what you want to be. Go ahead.
I think that, you know, in some ways, I think we're looking at two separate things. We're looking at becoming disconnected from expectations, and then we're also thinking about unhinged as losing it, you know, getting upset or angry or whatever. And so just clarifying for me, unhinged is just really about tapping into who you really are and feeling free to live in that, to express it. And so again, I just use artistic stuff. I go to the gym, I work out, and all of those things really help me get in touch with. I just wish we were all a little bit more free to just be ourselves and not live in such tight constraints. Because I think I find myself, you know, when I look back at my life, my work, history and stuff, that there are many times I did things because I felt it was the right thing or I had to. And so finding freedom and finally sort of letting that go and tapping into what really sets me on fire and what really is deep inside who I really am and what I enjoy to do is very, very important. And again, I appreciate in seeing that in others and being able to, you know, talk about it, you know, what really, you know, excites them. And so to me, that's the unhinged.
Do you think you're like one of the fortunate ones who can be unhinged in that way? Or do you think there are many people that's really like, I don't know what Denise talking about right now?
Yeah, there could be people that are thinking that, but I think that that's something that comes for different people at different times. So I know Donna and I have talked about, and I'm like, why didn't I, you know, get here earlier? Why didn't I discover it? But I think it's, you know, it comes to you when you're meant to sort of allow that process to happen. You just allow yourself more to become a little unhinged and sort of revel in that and enjoy that process of, you know, untethering yourself and untying all that's keeping you down. And,
Carolyn, how do you feel about freedom to be what you want to do?
For me, I think recently it's also been about stuff, like physically removing stuff that is a reminder of oh, that was a project that you were going to do, or you kept this box of whatever because you were going to start a support group about that and you might need that. And just saying, you know what, I have these piles of stuff that are weighing me down and I need them gone. I don't even visually want to see them, you know, and just saying, it doesn't matter that I thought I was going to do that. You know, I was going to start knitting again. I tried it and I still was like, I love to knit, but I also hate to knit. So you know what? It can just go away again and just let it go. And then I'm not burdened by looking at it. And then I can be like, oh, I'm going to do Qigong instead.
Yeah. I am laughing because just yesterday, my son said, Mom, what do you like to do? I said, I like to go to the gym. He was like, you should take up knitting. That's why I'm laughing. I'm like, these hands are made for knitting. Oh my gosh. Anyway, that's why I was laughing. It was in my brain. He was like, you should take up knitting. But not going to happen. Do you guys think freedom is a mental state of mind? Freedom?
Absolutely. I think we create our own prisons.
1,000%.
Right.
Yeah.
We build them, we maintain them, but we can also knock the walls down. And that's the exciting part for me, is knocking down those walls and creating either something new or something that was always there that we didn't allow to come out, or and that's the fun part for me.
I love what you said. We build them, we feed them, we monitor them. How do we stop that? That was real good.
Where can you find your freedom even in your prison structure? What's the one step out?
Ooh.
You know? So for me, my example, I'm burning this 9 to 5 down. So I've taken steps to kind of morph out of that. But that's where I'm finding my path to freedom, even in the structure. So it's like, what little steps can we take to sort of make ourselves more free, even when we have to abide by certain walls, you know?
Yeah. Carolyn, that's so good.
I'm just like dying that you like got on this thing of 9 to 5 and you're like, I'm going to find a way.
So mad about it,
I now I forgot what the question was.
Your prison, your mental state. How are we going to break these walls down and just get out? Not
And do
feed
we
it.
build
and,
them? Do we build our own
I
walls?
think it's
Yeah, we
day
do.
by day. It's making a decision, and you might only knock one brick down a day, and then 1 week you might knock a whole section down. And I just think it's kindness to ourselves, and keep reevaluating and just saying, I don't have to do that because somebody said it once, you know.
Yes.
And it's so important to preserve your mental health. And it's so true, especially if you're not around people all day long. You start internal dialogue. We have to turn that off. We start saying, well, am I in the right place? Am I supposed to be doing this? Is this for me? And we start asking all these questions. So we're slowly building the brick. We're putting bricks up. So what can we do to stop this internal dialogue? How do we turn that around?
I have to ask myself the question when I go into that, are you in the state to ask these questions right now? And if we're feeling a low energy, or we're tired, or we're hungry, it is not the time to ask ourselves these questions of reflection. We wait till we're in a better state. I want to circle back to something Denise said about, like, because I think this is very parallel of just like finding what brings you joy. And I'm still working on this in my head of coming from like a sort of hustle culture mentality of what can I do and how can it make me money? How can I turn it into a business?
Yes.
And letting all of that go and just doing what makes you happy and leading it to the next thing and the next thing. That is very difficult, but so worthy of saying, can I just do this because I enjoy it? And maybe in a year from now, I don't enjoy it anymore and I want to do something new. Letting that old version of you go. This is all, it's all very difficult, but just allowing to emerge whatever you enjoy and following that joy. It really is such a path to all of this.
It sounds like just live. One day at a time, just live, you know. But we are, like you say, we're a hustle mentality. We got to have this, we need this money, and, you know, and so there are people who's like always looking at, I don't have enough. Yeah. But how do you change that with gratitude for what you do have? You know, what do you think about it, Carolyn?
So I had a lot of my adult life, I want to say maybe even until about 6 years ago, where I was in that fear of not having enough, like super frugal, saving, not enjoying, because it was like, oh, we might need it for something else. So I think that's something you have to work really hard on. You've got to go to your family stories about, you got to look at your childhood and all of that. It's hard though, because there's like fear and anxiety and control and all that you got to get through. And then I think sometimes you also have to kind of, I hope this makes sense, sort of like try things. Like, be like, oh, this pathway might be the right pathway for how I'm going to support my family. And if it's not, it's okay. And then you regroup and do something else. Does that make sense? So
It does.
yeah, you gotta look a little bit back when there's that lack of abundance. A lot of it's in your childhood.
Yeah.
But gratitude, huge. Gratitude can stop the mental chatter that's mostly can be negative, and it can stop the fear and the panic. And it can. I know I was doing dishes once and I felt it, and I was like, what am I grateful for? And I was like, I love my kitchen. You know, I
Like
love
this water.
soap
Yeah.
that I have. I love my 3-tiered dish rack. And then, you know, looking at a picture I have that I look at that somebody took of me, it's a Polaroid from like 25 years ago. A boss took of me at work. And I don't know why I have it there. He wrote creative genius at the bottom. Probably that's why I have it there. And I look at that and I think, oh, I'm grateful for all the jobs I've had and all the people I worked for, the ones that I couldn't stand working for and the ones I love working for and what I learned. You can be like, I'm grateful that for tonight for dinner we had pesto. You know, like it can be anything.
Yeah.
And then your brain is like, oh,
Oh,
happy, and
yeah.
all the other things go away.
That is so good. That is so good and so true. Once you start switching how the internal dialogue is, because it's a part of the prison, you know, we have to keep you in here. So we're going to say these negative things. But once you start saying, listen, I'm grateful for everything I have. I'm grateful that I can eat. I'm grateful that I can run. Whatever it is you're grateful for, your mind starts to switch. I love that. That was so good.
And then when you ask those reflective questions, but now you're in that state, what's the answer going to be? You're probably going to feel much more content than when you ask those reflective questions when you're in that.
Oh,
That's right.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You've got to get into gratitude before you start to explore. If you start to explore when you're in panic or in lack,
Forget it.
forget it.
Yeah.
You're living under a bridge in 5 years.
Yeah.
That's
It's
not
true.
going to work.
Yeah, it's not going to work. But I want to ask you this. I want you to tell people, accept that bad things happen. What can you say about that? Accept that bad things happen. Is that something we should say? Is it negative or is it like toxic positivity? What can you tell somebody about acceptance that things will happen? Not all of them will be good.
Everything just is. And we have no control over it. And there's nothing you can do about it except you live your happiest life moment to moment. That's the only thing you have control over. So, yeah, that's how I'd wrap that up.
My husband loves that Chinese proverb. I'm not going to say it right, but it's something like "we'll see," and it's really about that, right? So it's bad. It happened, but the person's response is, "Well, we'll see." And then you go through, and the bad thing actually ended up turning into a good thing. So he actually just said that to me the other day. He's like, "You got to stop this. We don't know. Let's just you kind of have to accept it and say, let's see what this is going to bring."
Yeah, it's funny that I can get into an anxious state sometime and have that feeling like something bad's going to happen, something bad's going to happen. Some of that comes from, like you say, old patterns or old thinking or childhood things or whatever. And I do actually tell myself, yes, bad things are going to happen because we live in the real world.
Yeah.
And, people die, which we view as bad or painful. And it's just the truth. We are going to face challenges, and we can call them bad, or we could just view them as challenges. So I think it's very realistic.
It's true.
Yeah.
On my way here, I was going to be late. I'm like, oh, I'm going to be late. I'm going to be late. Then I had to calm myself down and say, you know what? They're going to be all right. It's going to be 2 minutes. I'll just be ready, get right and get to the chair. And I had to bring that down because, it's one of those cloudy days and you're just like, oh, but there's ways to just bring it down. It's going to be all right. We'll see. We'll see what happens if you're late, So any last quick tips for the listener?
Find your joy, follow it, be yourself, be you. Light this year on fire.
After you've done something, ask yourself, am I in a better place than before? If not, eliminate that from your life or, lessen it or something, and then you're going to have the time to do the things and you uncover and discover the things that are going to give you that feeling.
Yes.
Let a little fun and craziness into your life, Have fun. Don't be afraid to become unhinged a little bit.
That's
Let it
right.
loose. Yeah.
Give yourself permission to be happy, to be healthy, and to live life every day. Become unhinged like Denise says, and it's not the crazy unhinged where you're losing it, but the one that you're free to be, free to fly, free to love, free to do whatever it is you want to do and to be whatever it is you want to be. And break that mental wall down, that prison down. Speak good things, be grateful, and be happy. And listen, put in the comments below if you have anything to add to this conversation, even if you don't say, hey, I listened, whatever it is, put in the comments below. We'll get back to you, won't we, ladies?
Yes.
We will get back to you, and it will be great. And you could find us on CNJN TV. You could find us on Anchor FM. You could find us on CNJN Facebook page. We are everywhere. Vimeo, wherever you look, we are there. We're even on LinkedIn, ladies, right?
Yay.
So check us out and be a part of this conversation. Be a part of the exchange. And we'll see you next time. Donna
Hutchinson.
Carolyn Poiker.
Denise Cavalier.
and Dr. Joan Coleman. And this is The Exchange, a Let Me Be Me podcast. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.